Kyudo has taught me that the process of doing the martial art is the most important part. The result will happen naturally if you're doing the process correctly in the correct sequence, step by step. There are 8 main movements that happen, and that must happen in a specific sequence in order for it to be one correct shot. It's a thing that the martial arts community provides. This thing called like ibasho, which is a place where you belong. So having a place where you can go that's not your home, not your work, but another community that accepts you. It's really taught me in my everyday life and to focus on the process of doing stuff rather than results, and quality over quantity. Proper pronunciation is Kudo.
Kyudo.
So
Kyudo.
Kyu is bow and do is like that michi, the path. Kyudo. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Jessica, thank you so much for the amazing shoot and educating us on Kyudo. Can you please give us a little bit of a background on how you got started in this beautiful art?
Here, when you start a martial art, you really need to be kind of focused and committed on it. And you don't want to be just trying a little bit and then, sorry, I have, kid stuff, and then leaving it. It's something that if it was me, personally, if I want to start it, I want to continue forever kind of thing. So I was actually on a radio program one day, and the radio personality, the presenter, he had done Kyudo at school. And he was like, hey, so like what kind of thing are you interested in the moment? What like motivates you? What are you wanting to try in the future kind of thing? So we got onto the topic of Kyudo. And he said, hey, like I used to do Kyudo, so I'll introduce you to all my Kyudo friends. So I'm like, wow, okay, cool. And he was the reason that I started Kyudo, basically. He gave me this amazing introduction to a senpai, so an elder, a person who has had 25 years experience in Kyudo. And he introduced me to the beginners class in Saitama, where I live, a different part of greater Tokyo. And I started, and I was like, wow, this is exactly as I thought it would be. This is like amazing and wonderful and interesting and detailed, and but I really love it. So yeah, I eventually got started after seeing it many, many years ago. And yeah, that was kind of how it went.
You mentioned you really wanted to do a deep dive and really commit. And I feel like any practice, in order to get good at it, you do have to have that sort of dedication. With something like Kyudo, how much does persistence and showing up, even though you might be frustrated because you keep missing, and how much does persistence have to do with success in Kyudo?
I think it's really, really important. The thing with Kyudo is it's different to archery in the sense where you can probably start hitting the target with recurve, in an hour or two. With Kyudo, it took me months. So it's a matter of being persistent, committing to coming to practice. Little by little, over time, you find areas that you improve in and you build upon it, and then after a year or 2 years you look back and you can see really big improvements. So in Japanese there's this theory of kaizen. A lot of the time in business overseas also it's used, which is like 1% better every day. So I try to be 1% better each time I go to practice. So it's just it's the mindset of being persistent, to come to practice even when you're not feeling 100%. Especially with women, sorry to take it there, but we have hormonal changes. So sometimes we're not feeling the best, and our shooting is off. Or we have, for everybody, you have personal stuff at home, you have personal things at work, this kind of thing. It affects your shooting and your mindset. So if you can get over that, and you can put that aside when you come into the dojo, and you can just focus on the small improvements and like being happy with any small improvements that you're making. Over time you find that you get better and better, and that's a really great feeling because you start to hit the target and your form starts to look a lot better. You're getting rid of all these weird habits, twisting shoulders, and you start to look a lot better as well. So it's, as long as you know before you start, Kyudo takes time before you can really see a kind of a beautiful, how can we say? We say sha in Japanese, which is like a shooting. So your whole shooting form and your technique takes a little while before it becomes really beautiful.
One thing I notice about you is you're very passionate about this. A lot of people are searching for something they're passionate about. Can you tell me how you believe you found your passion and were able to continually do it?
Yeah, so I think it was very, very much by chance. So as I mentioned before, I just saw it one time, and I thought, wow, looks cool, looks fun, looks interesting. I feel relaxed watching it, I want to try. Then going in to try it, I was like, this is amazing, this is so cool. This is everything that I thought it was and more. And the reason I'm so passionate about it is, as a non-Japanese person living in Japan, I can speak Japanese. I'm bilingual, I'm self-taught. I've lived here for 22 years, so my communication is not a problem. It's a thing that the martial arts community provides, this thing called like ibasho, which is a place where you belong. So having a place where you can go that's not your home, not your work, but another community that accepts you, and you can get advice for things. You have your senpai, your kohai, there's lots of human interaction. They're not your parents, they're not your workmates, and they're not your family, but they're all working hard to trying to perfect their techniques and do their Kyudo. So you have a really strong bond there. So that's one of the things that makes me super passionate, is a non-Japanese person being accepted into this traditional martial art, and having a place where people, they like me and we can talk, and it's like a support network. It's really amazing. So that part makes me passionate, because I know that people, if they tried Kyudo, they would enjoy it too, and they'd get, especially people living in Japan, non-Japanese people, they get a lot of support. They find a place where they belong. So I think a lot of us as martial arts practitioners can really understand like that sense of community. Your martial arts family. It's kind of this really special connection and network of people that you meet when you start doing martial arts, no matter what the art, right? Yeah, it's really special.
And what stood out for me the most was how in depth it all is. It's not just, banging out and shooting arrows, just one after the other. There's these sequences of movements. It's almost a Tai Chi, Qigong combination where the climax of the point, the still point where the arrow, everything has to line up for it to be perfect. Talk to me about the process of Kyudo.
So the thing with Kyudo is hitting the target is a given if you are doing your movements and your breathing correctly. So you shouldn't have to really, really focus on that. You should focus on here. It does look very, very simple. Sort of from the outside looking in, it looks really meditative and really kind of simplistic, maybe. It's nice to have the smooth movements and it's calming to watch. But the process is, to break it down a little bit, there are 8 main movements that happen. And that must happen in a specific sequence in order for it to be one correct shot. So things like creating the footing, the really strong foundation for which you shoot upon. If you watch a Kyudo practitioner, their hips don't move. They're not like wibbly wobbly. It's really important to have a strong foundation. And then knocking the arrow, all these different things, they're just bringing the consciousness and the concentration down to these like micro elements which we focus on. 1 millimeter difference, knocking your arrow changes where it goes by 10 or more centimeters at the target. So these millimeter differences are like, you can get really in your head about them, but for me, concentrating down to that micro level helps me actually be calmer. So there's a really detailed process that goes through with angles and breathing and movement, as you mentioned, with the release and the end form, which is zanshin, which is a lot of martial arts practitioners will understand. There's zanshin in many different martial arts, especially iaido, naginata. The end form of the body with the weapon is a way that we can look at to see if the body is being used correctly. Zanshin shows us so much. So yeah, I think the process every step of the process and the whole process as a whole, one arrow, it's as detailed as you want it to be. So I can talk forever about that if you want, but I'll just end it there.
One thing, we've traveled a lot and we've had the blessing to feature a lot of martial artists. A lot of them say that martial arts teaches them a lot about life. Can you tell me what this art has maybe taught you or helped you within your life?
For me, I am I don't know what's the word, is it type A personality? I'm kind of like detail oriented, but I am impatient. I used to be. Let's put that in past tense. I was an impatient person, and I couldn't stand kind of, having to wait for stuff to eventuate and happen. I'm all about efficiency, getting the most done in my day. 3 kids, work, practice. I want to just boom, 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 boom. I want to just be going through it and getting stuff done. I want to see results. But Kyudo has taught me that the process of doing the martial art is the most important part, rather than the result will happen naturally if you're doing the process correctly, in the correct sequence, step by step, and to do it with your breathing and calmly. So having done grading, and I'm sandan, third dan in Kudo at the moment, it's really taught me in my everyday life, just to bring that into my everyday life and to focus on the process of doing stuff rather than results, and quality over quantity. A lot of the times I have to remind myself, but that's something that Kudo has taught me. So I think through Kudo I've become, a better person in general, a better mother. I'm a nicer driver. Okay, yeah, you can go first. And I'm a nicer mom. I don't get angry anymore, or I don't get stressed out. I find myself pretty chill most of the time. So I used to run. I was a runner, and several times a week I would run for stress relief kind of thing. You want your endorphins. After I started Kudo, I found I was running less, but going to practice more for Kudo. And yeah, I've really become a very chilled and calm sort of a person. So that has given me big effects in my everyday life, where I am more resilient to things like stress, and anxiety, issues with concentration. Without going into too many details, it's affected positively many areas of my personal life and my life as a woman and as a mother and a person who works and that kind of thing. So yeah, many benefits, yeah.
It's almost like it's about the journey, not the destination. In that journey, what's the hardest part about Kudo?
It depends which part of the journey you're at. Because it has, Kyudo, the Kyu is a bow, and Do is, the kanji is michi, or path. So the path of the bow. And you're just working towards perfecting and fine-tuning your craft as you go along. And the hardest part is, when I was a beginner, what I thought was difficult is now 7 years later, much different. So the things that I found hard to start off with were remembering all these angles and steps and breathing and moving. Also, my body was really weak. We have to walk and stand and sit and scissor, sit on our knees in a certain way in order to do grading. So my body was not ready. It takes many times of doing it, and muscle memory, and that's what I found difficult initially, the physical side of it. Now 7 years on, I'm getting told by my sensei, you don't have much ki. So it's not something you can measure, oh, she has ki 10 out of 10, or your aura and how much feeling and energy you radiate when you shoot, how do you produce that? So this is a very different thing. So obviously I have the foundation correct now, and it's more about giving a presence. Being able to hit consistently, and also people watch and they feel something, like it makes them emotional, like, oh, that was nice, cool, it's amazing, you look strong, powerful, instead of, you know, you're not sure of yourself, you're weak, you're kind of not self-confident, this kind of thing. So really the things that I find difficult at the moment are ki and having that sort of presence while I'm shooting.
Well, I think we only have probably one or two more questions. One of our biggest missions is to inspire people to start martial arts. So for somebody who maybe hasn't yet picked up a martial art or hasn't experienced martial arts, could you maybe give them a reason of why they should start a martial art?
Sure. So martial arts are cool. And for me, I started at 38 maybe. And I want to say for especially older adults who are kind of like, I'm too old to start, or I'm not sure, make sure the timing is right for you first. But depending on the martial art, any age is okay. And there's going to be massive health benefits. With those massive health benefits come mental benefits, like you're going to feel better, look better, you'll have a community. There are so many benefits that come with learning a martial art. And again, it depends on what you are getting into. I've had experience with naginata, which is a pole arm. You do it in combat with another person. So naginata and Kudo, and then on horseback, archery, several different types of Japanese archery, and all of them, I'm so glad I started because the benefits are amazing. Like, just, more than I can explain. But I want to say one thing that I was worried about was my age, and not to worry too much about it. Especially Kudo, you can start at any age. We have people in Japan starting at, they've just retired, 75, they're starting Kudo. So you don't need to worry too much about your age, because I think that's a big thing that hinders it. Kind of people worry about it, like, am I going to be too old for it? Take it easy and just try. Go visit the dojo and see what you think. So I want to say, my life here has been amazing and wonderful, but starting martial arts has changed it 180 degrees. So I had a nice life here, and then I started Kudo and my world turned upside down in a good way. So that's kind of where I'm at. It just keeps getting better and better.
Beautiful. Well, where can people follow your journey?
Yay! So I am on all socials under Jess in Tokyo, which is in one word, JESSIN Tokyo, TOKYO.
Excellent. Well,
fantastic.
Jess, thank you so much for taking the time and welcoming us into your dojo and showing us all the things Kudo. Super fascinating, and I gotta admit, I do want to give it a shot. It looks super fun.
That's what I want to hear. Yay, that's what I want to hear. Thank you so much.
That's a wrap. Right?
Yay, thank you.
That's excellent. Killer. That's great. That's perfect. Great shoot.